What will happen when a couple leaves everything and starts a new life in the woods? Everything feels perfect until one day, they get trapped in a fast river. Just when they struggle to get out, someone from their past suddenly shows up and saves them, someone they never expected. The story begins with Maria and her husband, who had no choice but to leave everything behind. Life in the nearby towns had become impossible. Too many struggles, too many expenses, and no way to move forward. With their 2-year-old daughter, they ventured deep into the Colombian jungle, hoping to survive with whatever nature could offer. Their new home was a small wooden hut, built with their own hands. It wasn't easy. The jungle was unforgiving, and they weren't used to living without electricity, stores, or even neighbors. But over time, they adapted. They planted crops, gathered fruits, and did everything they could to survive. Everything seemed fine, but something was missing. Maria never forgot their family dog, Mario. He had been with her for years, even before she got married. When they had no children, Mario became like their baby. Letting him go was heartbreaking, but they had no choice. Moving to the jungle meant they couldn't afford to keep him. With a heavy heart, Maria left Mario with her friend, but she never stopped thinking about him. At night, they sat under the stars, telling stories and listening to the sounds of the wild. The jungle was alive, with rustling leaves, distant howls, and the gentle hum of insects. Their life was peaceful, but sometimes they missed Mario and the small comforts of their old world. A warm meal they didn't have to cook, soft blankets, or even the smell of fresh clothes. Still, they held on to hope, knowing this was their only chance to build a future. They also found comfort in knowing Mario was safe. Maria's friend cared for him better than they ever could in the jungle. 2 years passed, and life in the wilderness had changed them. The struggles never ended. Their clothes had worn thin, and they had no fabric to make new ones. Buying anything was impossible since they had no money. Making clothes from plants didn't work, and hunting animals for their skins, that was never an option. They couldn't bring themselves to harm an innocent creature for their own needs. They needed supplies from the city, but how could they afford them? That's when an idea struck. What if they sold their fruits and vegetables? One morning, with heavy baskets of fresh produce, they set off toward the city. The journey was long, and after years in the jungle, the path felt unfamiliar. The biggest surprise was a river that hadn't been there before. Though shallow, crossing it felt strange, almost unnatural. When they finally reached the city, everything was overwhelming. The noise, the crowds, the towering buildings. It no longer felt like home. Still, they found a small spot by the roadside and started selling. Hours passed, and just when they thought no one would buy, people started stopping. By sunset, they had sold everything. With the money, they bought clothes, blankets, and small comforts, feeling relief for the first time in years. But it was late at night, and going back home wasn't possible. Maria thought of an old friend who lived in the city. The same friend she had given Mario to. With no other choice, they knocked on her door, hoping she would help. Maria's heart felt lighter at the thought of seeing Mario again. When the door opened, Maria's friend stood frozen. She had thought Maria and her family were gone forever. Tears filled her eyes as she hugged them and welcomed them inside. Maria looked around, expecting to see Mario, but he was nowhere in sight. She finally asked, "Where is Mario?" Her friend didn't answer. The silence made Maria uneasy. She asked again, and this time her friend's face fell. She took a deep breath and finally spoke. "Mario ran away a long time ago," she said softly. "I searched everywhere, but I couldn't find him. I tried to tell you, but you had disappeared into the woods. There was no way to reach you." Maria felt like the ground had been pulled from under her. Mario was missing? Her heart ached. He was a gentle, loving dog. He wouldn't just run away. Had he been scared? Was he lost and alone? The guilt hit her like a wave. If she had never left him behind, this wouldn't have happened. Tears rolled down her cheeks. When morning came, Maria and her family left for the jungle with heavy hearts. The thought of Mario being out there, lost, broke her inside, but she had no choice. She had to keep moving forward. Over the next few days, Maria couldn't stop thinking about Mario. She felt an emptiness in her heart, but her friend wouldn't stop talking about their story. She shared it with neighbors, shopkeepers, and anyone willing to listen. People were amazed that a family had survived deep in the jungle, but what truly caught their attention was the mention of a river. The town had always struggled with water shortages, and the idea of a river just a few hours away spread like wildfire. People became curious, and soon things started changing, without Maria and her husband even knowing. Over the next 2 years, heavy machines arrived, cutting through the land. The small stream they had once crossed grew into a powerful river. By the time they realized what had happened, it was too late. The jungle, once their refuge, was now an island, cut off from the rest of the world. A year later, Maria gave birth to another daughter. Life in the jungle was tough, but she did everything to keep her family safe. Days were long, and nights were even harder, but she never lost hope. Then, when her baby turned 2, something terrible happened. She fell seriously ill. Fever burned through her tiny body, and she refused to eat. Nothing seemed to help. Maria and her husband tried every remedy they knew, but nothing worked. She couldn't just watch her child suffer. She had to find a way to reach the city for medicine. Her husband wanted to go, but Maria knew the jungle better. She was sure she could find her way. What she didn't expect was how much things had changed. When she reached the river, her heart pounded. The small stream she once crossed with ease had turned into a deep, rushing river. But there was no time to hesitate. Her daughter's life depended on her. Maria carried a basket of fruits and vegetables to sell in the city, hoping to buy medicine. But getting across the river was a challenge. She tied the basket with a rope around her waist and stepped into the water. At first, she moved carefully, but as she reached the middle, the current grew stronger. The river pulled at her, dragging her downstream. She kicked and fought, her heart racing. Then something moved in the water. Was it a crocodile? Fear filled her chest. Then she heard a bark. A dog? Maria turned and saw Mario swimming toward her. She couldn't believe her eyes. Mario pushed against her, guiding her toward the shore. Maria grabbed onto him, using every bit of strength she had left. The current was strong, but Mario refused to give up. He paddled harder, pulling her along. After what felt like forever, they reached solid ground. Maria collapsed, gasping for breath. Tears filled her eyes as she hugged Mario. He had saved her life. But Maria was in shock to see Mario after so many years. Her friend had told her that Mario was missing. So how was he here now, saving her life? Before she could process everything, a couple rushed toward her, their faces filled with surprise. They were Mario's owners and had seen everything happen. But what shocked them even more was recognizing Maria. They had heard rumors about a family living deep in the jungle, and now she was standing right in front of them. When Maria asked them about Mario, they explained that they had found him in the woods when they moved there. Mario had been wandering, looking for someone. When they found him, he was weak, starving, and barely able to walk. They took him in, cared for him, and gave him a home. When Maria told them that Mario had once been hers, they were stunned. Mario had been searching for his real owner all along. Tears filled Maria's eyes. She wanted to hold him forever, but she had no time to waste. Her daughter needed help. Seeing her urgency, the couple quickly lent her their donkey. Maria thanked them and asked them to take care of Mario until she returned. Without hesitation, she climbed onto the donkey and rode toward the city. Her friend, relieved to see her, helped her buy the medicine. But Maria had one more thing to do. She had to return home and bring Mario back where he truly belonged. Once again, Maria stood before the raging river. But this time, she wasn't alone. Mario was by her side, and the couple who had helped her had a small canoe. It wasn't perfect, but it was strong enough to carry her across. She stepped in, gripping the edges tightly. The water was rough, but she paddled with all her strength. Mario stood beside her, eyes focused on the waves, as if ready to jump in if anything went wrong. The river pushed against them, but she kept going. When she finally reached the shore, she collapsed on her knees, breathing heavily. She turned to Mario and hugged him tightly. Without him, she wouldn't have made it this far. With no time to waste, she rushed home. Her husband sat by their daughter's side, worried in his eyes. The fever had worsened. Maria quickly gave her the medicine. Hours passed, then a whole day. Slowly the fever broke. Their little girl opened her eyes, smiled, and reached for her mother. Tears filled Maria's eyes. She had made it in time. From that moment, life changed. The couple across the river became more than friends. They became family. They shared food, helped each other, and built a bond that would never break. And Mario? He never left Maria's side again.